There are 4 important myths which Israel's supporters will give to justify this extraordinary aid and diplomatic cover. Let's start with the first one. Myth number 1. Israel is a strategic asset. The Cold War-era argument goes that Israel was an asset to check Soviet power in the Middle East. That's not what former National Security Advisor and Secretary of State Henry Kissinger believed. Our impression is that Israel must be strong, but Israeli strength does not prevent the spread of communism in the Arab world. Israeli strength provides for Israeli security. The best defense against the spread of communism in the Arab world is to strengthen the moderate Arab governments. So it is difficult to claim that a strong Israel serves American interests because it prevents the spread of communism in the Arab world. It does not. It provides for the survival of Israel. In 1982, still well before the Soviet Union's demise, Israel's invasion of Lebanon created Hezbollah, who killed hundreds of U.S. Marines in a suicide bombing at the barracks of the 1st Battalion 8th Marines. Another bombing of the U.S. Embassy there was the single deadliest day in the CIA's history. The occupation of the Palestinian territories has further resulted in 2 uprisings that have killed thousands of people. The occupation itself is especially troubling, considering the territories were first acquired through a preemptive attack by Israel against Egypt, which brought Jordan and Syria to war, leading to another war over the captured territories, which almost led to nuclear war. Hardly a stabilizing force in the region. As Mearsheimer Walt put it, even if Israel was a valuable ally during the Cold War, that justification ended when the Soviet Union collapsed. Myth number 2. We need Israel to fight terrorism. It shouldn't come as a big surprise that groups like Al-Qaeda attacked the United States largely because of their support for Israel. Years before 9/11, when a bomb-laden van exploded under the North Tower of the World Trade Center in 1993, a young Ramzi Youssef sent letters to New York newspapers claiming responsibility. As told by Stephen Cole, author of the Pulitzer-winning Ghost Wars: The Secret History of the CIA, Youssef issued 3 political demands: an end to all U.S. aid to Israel, an end to diplomatic relations with Israel, and a pledge to end interference with any of the Middle East countries' interior affairs. The terrorism that Israel practices, which is supported by America, must be faced with a similar one. The author notes that it made no references to Islam at all. Indeed, Youssef seemed to define America as an enemy solely because of its support for Israel. Or take Abdul Rahman Yassin, one of Youssef's co-conspirators, who said in an interview with Leslie Stahl,
"We have to send a message that this is not right. This is to revenge for my Palestinian brothers and my brothers in Saudi Arabia."
The architect of the later 9/11 attacks themselves, none other than Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, was also motivated by U.S. support for Israel, according to the official 9/11 Commission report. By his own account, KSM's animus toward the United States stemmed not from his experiences there as a student, but rather from his violent disagreement with U.S. foreign policy favoring Israel. There's also the man himself, Osama bin Laden. In Lawrence Wright's Pulitzer-winning The Looming Tower, the author describes a 14-year-old Osama. Sometimes he would sit in front of the television and weep over the news from Palestine. In his teenage years, he was the same nice kid, his mother later related, but he was more concerned, sad, and frustrated about the situation in Palestine in particular and the Arab and Muslim world in general. He was vocal about it in the years prior to 9/11, declaring in his 1996 fatwa, "It is no secret to you, my brothers, that the people of Islam have been afflicted with oppression, hostility, and injustice by the Judeo-Christian alliance. Your blood has been spilt in Palestine and Iraq."
Mr. bin Laden, you have declared a jihad against the United States. Can you tell us why?
The U.S. government has committed acts that are extremely unjust, hideous, and criminal through its support of the Israeli occupation of Palestine. And we believe the U.S. is directly responsible for those killed in Palestine, Lebanon, and Iraq.
Americans are asking, why do they hate us? They hate what they see right here in this chamber. A democratically elected government. Their leaders are self-appointed. They hate our freedoms.
Myth number 3. Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East.
Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East, the only place where all three monotheistic religions are allowed to peacefully practice. I believe that America has a moral obligation to continue to support Israel.
Israel is neither a democracy nor is it especially moral compared to other states. That's putting it lightly, but bear with me. First of all, in February of 2023, the Civilian Authority, or the body that governs the West Bank, was transferred to Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich. In other words, the West Bank was effectively annexed in 2023. What has been ruled by a military commander for more than half a century was transferred over to civilian control, being administered by the federal government of Israel. Smotrich was given expansive powers over land surveying, registration, settlement construction, outpost demolition, infrastructure projects, including water, electricity, transportation, and other matters. Despite this extraordinary power over the lives of some 3 million Palestinians, not a single one of them are able to vote in Israeli elections, despite being at the mercy of its whims. This is not a democracy, simply put. The perilous situation in Gaza is anything but the manifestation of a morally righteous democratic country either. I've also covered the topic of Israeli apartheid in the occupied territories and Israel proper as well in this video here. Besides, say Mearsheimer and Walt, whether a country is democratic is not a reliable indicator of how Washington will relate to it. The United States has overthrown a few democratic governments in the past and has supported numerous dictators when doing so was thought to advance U.S. interests. The Eisenhower administration overthrew a democratically elected government in Iran in 1953, while the Reagan administration supported Saddam Hussein in the 1980s. The fact that bills and political parties in Israel are disqualified if they negate the existence of the State of Israel as the state of the Jewish people or the democratic character of the state is also cause for some alarm, and contrary to basic democratic principles. In October of 2000, after Israeli police opened fire on Israeli Arab protesters, killing 13, the Israeli government set up the Or Commission to investigate what had happened. The commission concluded, which caused controversy in Israel, that government handling of the Arab sector has been primarily neglectful and discriminatory. Indeed, it's been officially observed by the Israeli government that Palestinian citizens of Israel, who are considered to be an example of why Israel doesn't practice apartheid, are far from equal to their Israeli counterparts. Indeed, this is observed by the majority of the Israeli population. What's worse, not only do they see it, most Israeli Jews support it. A 2016 Pew survey of Israeli Jews found that 79% believe they deserve preferential treatment. In the very same survey, 48% of Jewish Israelis agreed with the statement, Arabs should be expelled or transferred from Israel. There's also the strive for a Jewish demographic majority, to which Israeli officials have employed language that is little different from words uttered by white nationalists in the United States. In a 2003 speech, then Finance Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told the Herzliya Conference, if there is a demographic problem, and there is, it is with the Israeli Arabs who will remain Israeli citizens. In 2007, Bibi apologized to the Haredi community for child welfare cuts as finance minister, though he sought to put a positive spin on them as well. The unexpected result was the demographic effect on the non-Jewish public, where there was a dramatic drop in the birth rate. Mearsheimer Walt posit, imagine the outcry that would arise here if a U.S. cabinet official spoke of the benefits of a policy that had reduced the birth rates of African Americans and Hispanics, thereby preserving a white majority. But such statements are not unusual in Israel. Myth number 4. Israel is surrounded by countries that want to destroy it. If I may, a caveat. In a 2004 interview with Haaretz, Israeli historian Benny Morris was asked if he identified with David Ben-Gurion after having researched him for several years up to that point. I do not identify with Ben-Gurion. I think he made a serious historical mistake in 1948. Even though he understood the demographic issue and the need to establish a Jewish state without a large Arab minority, he got cold feet during the war. In the end, he faltered. The interviewer responds, I'm not sure I understand. Are you saying that Ben-Gurion erred in expelling too few Arabs? Benny Morris, if he was already engaged in expulsion, maybe he should have done a complete job. I know that this stuns the Arabs and the liberals and the politically correct types, but my feeling is that this place would be quieter and know less suffering if the matter had been resolved once and for all. If Ben-Gurion had carried out a large expulsion and cleansed the whole country, the whole land of Israel, as far as the Jordan River, it may yet turn out that this was his fatal mistake. If he had carried out a full expulsion rather than a partial one, he would have stabilized the state of Israel for generations. The interviewer: the term to cleanse is terrible. Benny Morris: I know it doesn't sound nice, but that's the term that they used at the time. I adopted it from all the 1948 documents in which I am immersed. On the Palestinians, Morris opined, it is a very sick society. It should be treated the way we treat individuals who are serial killers. There is a wild animal there that has to be locked up in one way or another. All right, so just so we're not confused, Benny Morris is no Palestinian sympathizer. Morris, one of the Israeli new historians and author of The Birth of the Palestinian Refugee Problem, is well known for debunking the conventional myths of Zionist history. One of the most tenacious myths relating to 1948 is that of David and Goliath, that the Arabs were overwhelmingly stronger militarily than the Yishuv. The simple truth is that the stronger side won. Rashid Khalidi has gone into detail on this himself. Israel, in fact, outnumbered and outgunned its opponents. There were only 5 regular Arab military forces in the field in 1948, as Saudi Arabia and Yemen did not have modern armies to speak of. Just 4 of these armies entered the territory of Mandatory Palestine. The minuscule Lebanese army never crossed the frontier, and 2 of these, Jordan's Arab Legion and Iraq's forces, were forbidden by their British allies from breaching the borders of the areas allocated to the Jewish state by partition, and thus carried out no invasion of Israel. So much of the Arab coalition wouldn't even invade Israel proper, much less seek its destruction. Indeed, as Benny Morris wrote in his 1948 and after, none of the Arab states, save Transjordan, committed the full weight of their military power to the enterprise, indicating either inefficiency or perhaps a less than wholehearted seriousness about the declared aim of driving the Jews into the sea. But even Transjordan, Morris writes, neither expected nor planned for Israel's demise, nor were the Arab Legion's operations from May onwards designed to bring this about. As previously noted, the 1967 war was sparked not by Arab states seeking to destroy Israel, but by an Israeli attack on Egypt. In the later 1973 war, says Morris, Presidents Anwar Sadat of Egypt and Hafez Assad of Syria sought to regain the territories lost in 1967. Neither aimed to destroy Israel. Despite a still widely held belief, apparently, since Helen Mirren starred in a movie which declares the opposite.
If the Arabs reach Tel Aviv, Israel will be wiped off the map.
Of course, today, Israel is one of the most powerful militaries anywhere in the entire world. The 4th most powerful military after the U.S., Russia, and China, according to U.S. News and World Report. It is also the only country in the Middle East, and in fact, one of the very few anywhere, with nuclear weapons. Military prowess aided by the extraordinary aid received by the United States every year.